Hey there, welcome back to Blacklist Universe. I am Mike, your host, and today we are going to fix the affront to mankind that is the Suicide Squad's Mrs. Freeze. Now, as you can tell from the various skins in this game, they decided to make her look like a horrendous blob no matter what skin you chose. So, let's see what we can do about that. Before we jump into that, allow me 30 seconds to introduce myself. My name is Mike S. Miller, 32-year professional comic book creator, video game concept artist, writer, blah, blah, blah. I'm the creator of multiple intellectual properties including Imaginaries, Deal with the Devil, Six Gun Samurai, and Lone Star. Available to pre-order at lonestarcomic.com, link in the description below. Our vision here at Blacklist Universe is ultimately to create a multimedia venture to bring quality and ethics back to storytelling. We're tired of the DEI woke agenda ruining every book, comic, game, movie, and TV show, and we're bound and determined to do something about it. If that sounds good to you, then join us by subscribing and maybe even supporting us as a channel member. No one can fight the culture war alone. We're here to fight and to make a difference, and we hope you are too. And one more thing, I do a weekly live stream at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time called Drawn and Quartered, where me and a group of my other professional artist friends get together and draw and chat and have a good time, and we would love for you to join us. Now back to the video. Going back to the original design of Mr. Freeze, using him as reference and inspiration, I decided to recreate Mrs. Freeze as a character that, Mr. Freeze would actually sacrifice everything he knows and loves, even his own morality, in order to save. And I don't know about you, but that blob of a character, I don't know. I mean, I know love is blind and all that, but maybe with a character like that, you might just want to move on. You got Harley Quinn, you got Catwoman. There's all kinds of lovely ladies in the DC universe you could opt for instead. So, anyways, I decided to make Mrs. Freeze something a little more appealing for Mr. Freeze, and yet still base this concept on a lot of the unique aspects of the Mr. Freeze character himself. Obviously, you have the dome head, you have that cool circle thing. There's Mr. Freeze designs out there where he's wearing black skin tight stuff, and I'm like, well, you've got a lot of really cool elements on all these different versions of Mr. Freeze that you can access. Great artists borrow, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So I stole. And then I changed some stuff up a little bit to give it more of a unique style, more of a unique silhouette. I think the silhouette with the cool tubing, the nitrogen, what is it called? Liquid nitrogen backpack and all that stuff. And then I gave her this unique freeze weapon, obviously also connected to the liquid nitrogen, or whatever it is exactly he's got on his back. I think it's liquid nitrogen. I broadened the bulb on her head because when I did the initial draw, I had her standing in a nice sexy pose. I mean, not that it's all about sex appeal and all that stuff, but this is comic books. These are comic book characters, and so you do want to have that appeal to the 15-year-old boy who's going to pick up a comic book for the first time. And you just want to have that appeal for, the boys and the girls. I mean, I don't know, the way it works with men, you want to be the character or you want to be with the character, girls and boys, right? So that's sort of the appeal of the female characters too, as well, in the comic book industry. And that's why I think comics did so well for so long. We were idealizing the female form and the male form both ways. It wasn't just the people are saying, "Oh, you're sexualizing." No, we're idealizing. We idealize the human figure, right? We create characters that boys want to be and girls want to be with, and contrary for the female figures. And I get it. Look, girls, if you want to have a hobby where you go and you insert yourself into the things that you create, I mean, go play with Legos, right? Go do something or create your own comics. That's fine. Don't sit here and usurp our entire industry with what you see in your mirror. Self-inserting characters, I mean, unless you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Megan Fox, then don't self-insert yourself into character design in comics or in video games or in movies or anything like that. We don't need representation of you. It's fine to have representation of all different races, colors, and creeds and all that stuff. That's absolutely fine. Nobody in comics history has ever complained about that. But when you start shoving yourself into all this, oh my gosh, you see it over and over again. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get on my soapbox. This is about redesigning a character. So I took some of the different attributes from some of the older Mr. Freeze designs. I gave him a little flourish. You can see like those gauntlets and those elbow pads. Before they were just like simple round things, and I gave him this little, swirling pad just to keep it more interesting and shapely. Like I said, in design, when you're designing a character, you want to make every part of the character actually interesting. So to me, just little simple round things tend to get boring. Although, as that big round belt buckle thing I did steal from another Mr. Freeze design, I thought that was a great centerpiece, and it does balance out the round dome, the round sort of meter thing on the front. And so you do want to tie together forms around the character, like I did with the the elbows and the wrists. I did the same thing with the boots, and I think it pulls together quite nicely. And then the gun, I sort of created my own version of the Freeze weapon. Something that she could stand there, hold on her hip, give that nice sexy model type pose as she's holding her weapon of destruction in her hand. I give it a nice big nozzle, someplace to grip beneath it, and a little, instead of like ammo, right, I gave it this little charging bulb that kind of reflects the bulb on her head. And so it, again, design wise, you're tying together the entire character and the entire design and figure. Obviously I clung close to her skin. I don't see why Mr. Freeze, there's characters of Mr. Freeze who have skin tight outfits. There's Mr. Freeze drawings where he's not wearing any kind of a suit at all. I stuck with the skin tight because when you've got a nice figure, you want it skin tight, especially in comic books. And again, no skin is showing, obviously. It's just skin tight, but I gave it some cool design elements here on the boots. Again, I'm referring back to the gauntlets and the elbow pads, and then just sort of gave her the bigger sort of boot outline. I don't want to give her high heels, for Pete's sake, right? It's Mr. Freeze, so I'm trying to bulk up like the wrists and the feet and sort of give it these wider, tapering out. What's that? It's not tapering, it's broadening, right? Tapering is coming closer. Anyways, with the legs, on my rendering, I went different from the torso. I did sort of go with more of a sleek, almost metallic feel, and then giving the ribbing with the lines. It just breaks that up and gives it a nice cool texture that, again, follow through. All of the skin tight elements have that black metallic skin tight whatever, and I just think it looks nice, tight. It looks cool. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments section below. And here we go momentarily with the silhouette. Bam! That is probably one of the cooler silhouettes. I know I did the whole Concord series, but this is probably one of the coolest silhouettes I've done recently. I think that looks really cool as a silhouette, and it will be very, very easy to identify from a tiny figure running across the background of a screen. You'll be like, oh, that's Mrs. Freeze. I actually did maintain the short cropped hairdo. I didn't focus too much on the face. I didn't like the idea of seeing her eyes. I like the Mr. Freeze. The iconic thing about Mr. Freeze's face, not that he's bald or anything, is that he's got those goggles, right? That's what makes it look cool. And I don't know, they didn't do that in the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. I don't know why. I'm sure because they just wanted to see his face, which, whatever. You're paying that much money for a superstar. I guess you want to see his whole face. Okay, I get it. Here, if you're new to the channel, this is what I call tint, tone, shade. This is how I do my shading. I drop a tonal layer, darkening the entire thing, and then I go in and I excise where I think the light is coming from. In this case, it's particular because I have a translucent or transparent dome. you see into the dome. The dome creates its own light within it. So like the facial lighting isn't following the rules of the external lighting. The dome itself is a reflective surface. So it's very much different from just basic opaque form in your colorings. So again, this has a lot of detail in it. So it took me a while to go in and excise all these colors and then do all the drop shadows and do everything necessary to get my tonal layer. And then here I'm going to come in a second with my tint layer, which is a 20-25% white layer that I drop in there. The tonal layer is a purplish blue on the multiply setting if you're playing along at home. And again, the white layer, 20-25% white opacity, and then I go in and I delete out portions so that the highlight is the central area in the lighter area, which gives, again, tint, tone, hue. It gives the shape form visually, right? So you can see where the high point is and where it's the shape is kind of casting away or forming away from the highlight. So it gives something that's perfectly flat. This is basic shading. If you don't know basic shading, there's probably better tutorials out there on YouTube than what I'm explaining to you. But you give flat objects form through shading. Highlights, shadows. I'm only doing it in a 3-tone style, which is sort of anime, sort of animation, basic animations, or even comic books. There is the comic book style like this. And then actually, I do go in with a highlight white that is pure 100% white opacity. And I do this with what are supposed to be hard or shiny objects. So this entire character is hard and shiny. So I had to go in and drop white highlights like literally everywhere on this character, which is it makes her look cool, but boy, it did take a little bit longer than I was anticipating. Anyways, now I'm going in and doing the most boring part of any coloring project, the flatting. This is where I go and I color select areas. Here I'm doing all of the dark skin tight area, and I'm converting it to basically the color I want it for in a final. So I go again here. Like I said, I wanted to do the dome and then also a couple other little areas around just to balance out the color that the dome is going to be. So the dome, the cartridge, and then a few little spots here and there on the character. I change it to a different sort of light setting because it's still kind of blue, but I wanted it to be it's Mr. Freeze, or it's Mrs. Freeze, so it's got to feel cold inside there. So that's why I did this very not neon, but just a very cold blue. It's not, I don't even know what you call it. It's not royal blue. Royal blue is a lot deeper, but it's almost a teal, but just not quite. And then I thought it would be really cool to go in there with some neon, like highlighting, like Tron, stuff you can't just do in regular pen and ink, but you can do it on Procreate, and it just looks cool. Making those lighting things pop out. Oh man, I thought that tied it together and made it look so cool. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. I didn't create Procreate, but I love this brush. It lets you make these cool highlights that would have taken forever in Photoshop back in the day. And then again, the red eyes, and then I just put a couple of hints of red around the character to tie it together. Man, I'm usually not that happy with my creations and stuff, but dang it, man, DC, no, you can't have this design for Mrs. Freeze, but boy, don't you guys wish they could. All right, if they want to pay me for it, they can. Let's cycle through a couple different color variations. I know Mrs. Freeze and Mr. Freeze has a very basic color palette, but I just wanted to do a few variations and see if, just for fun, for giggles, let's say. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you... hey, if you want me to do like more Suicide Squad characters, let me know in the comment section what characters you think most need a glow up. Thanks for being here, everybody. Like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. I'll see you on the next video.